All meetings to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The approval of the previous meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda?
Can I add one thing, please? I apologize that we had a discussion last week about putting stuff into, but I just found out about it yesterday. Can we add a reappointment to the North Central Housing Authority Board? I just need to be reappointed. Because my term is up.
Reappointment to Northeast Regional Housing.
North Central Housing Authority, so the old Ramsey County Housing.
Oh, sure. Okay, any other additions to the agenda, changes?
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion, do we have a second? Motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Kevin, you're up.
All right. Last month we got the invoices from KLJ late, so we didn't get them paid. There's three of them. One is for the final closeout on inlet overlay on Ramsey County 2. One is for the inlet overlay design work on 3. And one for the survey work on the bridge road replacement. So they total $14,635.15. And I'd like a motion to pay those.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay those invoices from KLJ. Roll call vote.
Volk,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Lightfon,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Brett.
Aye. Motion carries. Continue, Kevin.
All right, the next item, we're starting to get some of the summer maintenance contracts in, so I'd like a motion for the chairman and the auditor to sign. There's Lawton, Parkin Road, Little Hop, Newland, and Odessa.
Move to approve second.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the summer maintenance contracts. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I had a couple other things I should bring up. We got more theft out at the shop in the impound lot. They pulled a car in there on Thursday, like at 5 o'clock at night. But anyway, by 10:30 there was somebody over there breaking into the cars, breaking the windows. So I talked to Travis. A lot of those cars are Travis's with the PCI. So he's got some money he can use to put a camera right in that impound lot. So we're gonna get a price on that, just so you guys are aware. And he'll pay for the camera if he's got enough money.
We figure it's the same people that are doing it. I
We
mean,
can actually see him running away this time, not near close enough to get a face or anything.
They cut a hole in Burlington Northern's fence,
And our fence.
and then they cut it in our fence, besides that. But the fence over there is not the best in any way. We still like them. We got money we can, Travis and I talked about this. We got money that can tie into the system that Kevin just got. We could just do a wireless camera, or we could pay for that out of some brass support for funds. To protect. Excuse me. So that's what I want to talk about. Travis, because it's basically our stuff. It's all stuff that we confiscated or seized or
what do they mean? What are they looking?
radios,
Radios?
valuables, speakers, here's like,
Maybe,
stuff,
maybe drugs
said it came in that day and then by 6:30 somebody broke in?
Yep.
Somebody wanted something in that car.
You know, honest, here's my opinion, and it's just my opinion, but it's somebody across the railroad tracks that looks out their house window and watches what goes on over there. Can't prove any of that, of course.
He just come in and noticed something new, we still dark.
We saw, you could see two people run away.
5 hours later and somebody's breaking in.
Oh, yeah.
I think,
That's just for your information. When I get the price, I'll let you know where it is.
as long as somebody else is.
We're taking care of it, you don't have to worry about it, we'll take care of it.
Take care of it. I don't know, those families use electricity off like,
We can just plug in the search and rescue building, we have to.
so we have to.
Put them on right on that side of the building, they just have right there. And then it's just so it's a wireless internet connection.
So we're working on that. The only other thing I had was, weight limits are in effect south of US 2 right now, and we got ours up, so. Nothing, north of US 2 is in effect yet. That's all I got.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else for anybody? No? All right. Well, we're waiting on Mr. Breckner. We wanted to circle back on that aquatic nuisance wash station that he met with us, I think last October or September or something. But, and he had asked to be on the agenda, but I haven't heard back from him to get on there. I know it's, we just recently had our spring meeting for the state aquatic invasive species committee, and it's certainly a big concern with the population of zebra mussel in Lake Ashtabula, and we discovered in Lake Lamar. And so Mr. Breckner wanted to come back and visit with us to see if Ramsey County would be interested, and I guess I told him to get some more figures for us, because I think we all had questions last fall concerning that proposed wash station. And I think, you know, as far as anglers coming into Devil's Lake, they have less desire to wash their boat prior to getting to Devil's Lake than they would leaving a contaminated or an infested known lake. So that may be of concern.
What was he looking, money-wise?
Well, the State Game and Fish has set up portable wash stations to be placed around the state, and certainly Devil's Lake being a high destination lake would be one of them. And so they would be looking at the county providing a cost share for that. They would provide the wash station and all that type of stuff, but it would take land, electricity, wastewater, disposal, different things like that. And so I don't know if they fully know what that ongoing cost would be.
I just asked him because the question has been brought up at Lake Region Anglers meetings, you know, because they started putting this cost on everything that's licensed,
Yeah.
but they can't never come out and tell us where the money's going. That's my fear. I don't, you know, not so that we're paying the total bill, when they're already charging people that are coming to the lake, they need to use that money.
That's one of the areas that it's supposed to be going towards. Education, outreach, enforcement is all part of that aquatic nuisance, aquatic invasive species. One of the things is with these aquatic nuisance species is once they're here, you can never get rid of them. And zebra mussels in Lake Ashtabula, they had a measurement of 63,000 mussels per square meter on one of their little zebra, the platforms or whatever they put down in the lake to catch
Because
it.
they're attached to it.
Yeah, it's a hard surface, and And so that's an incredible number of zebra mussels. They populate like crazy, and they end up cleaning your water, the visibility of it. It changes the entire ecosystem of your lake, and so there's going to be less food for all the way up from the bottom on up, and then they have a tremendous effect on the growth of young walleye. Walleye are shown to grow 14% less in lakes infested with zebra mussel, because the young ones tend to get eaten quicker, and so there's less fish. And it's just if people are coming up here to catch walleye, and we don't do everything we can to prevent it, then shame on us. I know one of the things that they are doing is an electronic boat ramp by. And so they're putting one of these out at Graham's Island, they're putting a few of them out on the state. And so when you back a boat down or pull a boat out, they can have a pre-recorded voice message for you. So, and they feel that this is an important way to reaching people using watercraft and other type of things that they're, and it has a way to tell that it's not somebody just walking by, or if it's an actual boat or a watercraft. And so if you're pulling out of an infested body of water, it'll tell you or remind you and that you're leaving an infested body of water. And if you're pulling out of one or backing into one, it'll let you know that you're backing into one. And so a pretty ingenious thing, and they're doing different things to try to combat this thing, but it's within our state and it's within our area, so anything we can do to prevent that, I think, will be a good thing. But until we know the full cost of what it would cost the county and the citizens of Ramsey County, I don't think we should jump on board and sign off on any type of portable wash station just yet. I know it was a 3-county area that Rich was looking to get Nelson and Benson County on board with as well, and try to join forces in that combat, but not sure what kind of inroads he's made in those other counties. So, any other questions on the ANS aquatic nuisance? Sheriff Nelson.
Okay. First, I would like to request out-of-state travel for a sheriff's conference in South Dakota, April 20th through the 22nd. It's in the budget, and if something changes, of course, I'll be able to. If they want a pretty good conference with some very good training, they actually haven't come up with the itinerary yet because they've had a couple instructors back out on them. So we're trying to replace a couple. But it's basically 2 days, 2.5. So on the 2 days, I'll get almost 20 hours of training, which is pretty good.
You've been to this before?
It's the same. It's North Dakota, South Dakota. It's called Dakota Territory Sheriff's Association, which is combined between North Dakota and South Dakota. We did this several years ago. We have kind of a combined association that we provide training both back and forth. Right now, South Dakota's had a lot more availability to have training than North Dakota has. So that's why I see South Dakota.
We're at in South Dakota.
It's in Deadwood.
Deadwood? Down in Black Hills. Nice.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the out-of-state travel for Sheriff Nelson in April. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
I have another item. I don't need a moment. It's just for information at this point. The PD, and we're kind of looking at a 3D. It's a 3D training system. So you put the goggles on, and you have training scenarios where the officers have to respond into any very many, there's so many different scenarios. Traffic stops, mental subjects, armed robbery, you can pick and choose it. And we're looking at something you could set up, for example, in this room. Or I need to take it down and put it up in the morning, or anyway, it's very mobile, very portable. So we're looking at that because we always have a struggle to send our guys to training, and that's a constant thing. So if the two of us go together between the city of Devil's Lake and us, our share would be no more than 30,000. And then there's a yearly subscription fee. So we're contemplating, we're looking at a couple different systems. I don't know if there's any interest in pursuing that, or, of course, my concern always is how often can we use it? Are we gonna allow other entities to use it, and if we do, we should have a fee schedule set up? Because that's usually my big drawback when I think if Grand Forks has training. Okay, it's $180 per officer to send them to, for a day class or a 2-day class. And then plus you got travel and lodging, and, it gets pretty cost prohibitive for us to be able to do that very often. Or if we go to Minot, then, we can't, it's very, this would be something we could maintain. I know the Chief Kanowski said the city is trying to use their COVID dollars for their share. So I just wanted to throw it out there for you guys to know it's out there. We haven't decided anything, it's not bought. Depending on what we go, it will not be more than that. It could be less than that, depending on what system we go with. So it could be half that, but that's the most it would ever be.
You think you could get us some more information on that?
Sure can.
Yeah.
What's the ongoing cost of that as well?
It's a subscription fee, and what they do is that provides you with updated scenarios. So they keep changing the scenarios and the.
I would imagine it'd be real similar to the simulator training on Camp Grafton.
Yes, but this is more of a 3D, there's just a 2D, this is more of a 3D, where they actually provide you with a gun, a flashlight, taser, which is all hooked into the system, and you basically run everything through like you're doing it in person. The instructor can sit at a laptop and change the scenario, so he can tell you to comply this time, and the next time he'll tell you to fight. And then the guy comes at,
Would it be a single user, multi-user?
See, that's where the cost comes in. If we go 2-man user, it's 30,000 each.
Yeah.
If we go to a single user, it'd be 15. That's where the cost differential's coming into play. One unit is like 30,000 total. 2 units would be 60. You have like 2 officers. And that's kind of where we're at, that 15 to 30, depending on which way we go.
How much is this fee?
The fee is, I think he said it's right around 1,500 to 2,000 a year.
A year?
Yeah. Which would be half of our. Nelson County's also looking at it, that might reduce our costs a little bit.
Or is it a charge every time you turn it on?
No.
You're not using the satellite?
Nope. No, it's not hooked to the internet whatsoever, it's all stuff, but that feed is, you hook it to the internet when you're not using it, and then it automatically uploads the new versions. But to use it, you do not need internet, all you need is electricity.
With the $1,500, $2,000 fee, you would think you'd be able to recruit by training other entities.
That's what I'm thinking, so if Grafton PD wants to come down and have, if we offer a day of training, we should be able to charge a fee and then say, okay, it's $50, $100 a guy, and then, that would help. Offsets it, Minot wants to come down, or, we go over there and train them, or whatever it may be, so. It's in the planning stage, and we aren't sure yet, but I just wanted to throw it out there, so you know about it.
I think it's a good idea.
It is, I mean, it's kind of it's the cutting edge right now, what we have to do, and it's kind of realistic about, because right now they have, I don't know if you've heard of the fast machine out in Camp Grafton. That's you sit there and I've been through enough of those that I kind of got them all figured out. And you just kind of know. Because they don't update where this kind of, it's the new technology. And we're just looking at it, and I think it'd be a good opportunity to get something, at least for our guys, at least because we have a very much lack of training.
Where do we send our officers to get trained now?
Huh?
Where do we send our officers to get trained now?
Depend on what it is.
Well, Give me a list of where we go.
Wherever we can find it.
We can go to the college and get it?
Well, I just fought for that and I got that back, but,
Bismarck, I think.
Bismarck, Minot, Grand, we send to Grand Forks a lot. We try to go as close as we can, so we can, hopefully it's a day class. So we can run them there in a day and run them back at night, so,
So do you know anything that, what they brought out to Devil's Lake, is that gonna be including any of this?
What's that?
The new thing that they brought the officers out to Devil's Lake, BIA, is that gonna have anything like this? You haven't heard anything?
I don't even know what you're talking about, what they brought to BIA.
Yeah, they brought in, it's a new training for them.
Oh, that's all the casino?
No, Camp Grafton.
Or you mean Camp Grafton, I'm sorry, Camp Grafton? That's just bringing instructors in and having classes.
Okay.
Basically, that's just the,
I didn't know if they were
they're
gonna,
bringing instructors for their federal law enforcement training, and that's through FLETC, which is the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, because they're federal officers, and that's what they train their guys with, and that's what's out at Camp Grafton. And I haven't heard I haven't even heard that we've been able to even attend those.
yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask.
The college is a basic training facility. So it doesn't make any sense to send my guys to a basic academy again for some of that. We'll send them for recertification stuff like CPR, things that they need recertifying on, because that's pretty neat, which we do. But the other stuff is also basic. We need to do advanced levels once they get into the academy. So it does get to be a challenge. So this is one way we can, and Debbie, especially nowadays with all the hoopla, with the, of course you all know, with the law enforcement things, with the deadly force and the use of force, and this is a good way to be on top of it and say, hey, here's how we're training our guys. None of this is what's been trained, so it limits our liability a little bit of how we train.
Any additional training, I think.
Because these scenarios also include all of that aspect of the racist, unnecessary use of force. That's all part of this whole training. Anyway, that's just FYI. One other thing, if we're done with that. We did get our rebate check for our radios finally. That $1,500 per radio from the state. Took an act of Congress, but we did get it. You have to have proof of purchase, proof of zero balance from the vendor, and before you can even submit it. So it's kind of a pain, but almost $6,000 we got back because we got 4 radios. I heard there were some conversations about the cost of radios. You guys all understand what's going on with these things and why we're not moving ahead too far? The dual band and the single band and all that, the Siren 2020?
Yep.
Okay. And that's why we're holding off, because the dual bands are a third more than a single band. So if we don't have to buy them yet, we don't need to spend that money. For example, what was a mobile was $7 grand. A single band set radio is like $5 or $4,500. And that's kind of why we're waiting until we're closer to our switching over to purchase anything. These ones I had to get because I didn't have those. I don't have them. But, and now they pushed us back another, 6 months? I think we were in 2021 or 22, and now we're at almost 22, 23.
And Siren project won't be done at 911 till September, I think, October.
This year? Good luck with that. Okay, we'll see. I don't have a lot of faith in them, but.
I think they're starting in August.
Starting in August. Well, they're supposed to be adding towers too, because that's the big thing, is we have to have towers up here to, right now, we're working off the Edmore Tower and the Webster Tower, and digital signals do not travel that far. It's just, analog did, but now we're going to this digital, it doesn't travel. So
Whose cost are they putting the towers on?
that's supposed to be part of Siren 2020.
It's supposed to be a state funded then.
That's state, yeah.
The state is funding the towers, but that's why we have to pay the individual radios. But like I said, they're getting behind the things. And I don't want, with technology the way it is, a year and a half from now in radio technology, what's going to change? I mean, this has happened to me in the past. I bought a radio that they said I had to, and a year and a half later, oh, those aren't good enough, you got to buy them again. because they won't work with this new. So I'm a little leery of paying until we have to, until we know what's working and what's kind of going. I hope that's not offensive, but to me, that's the most frugal with our money is, you know, I don't want to have to buy 2 radios at $5 grand a piece and they aren't working. So,
Well, the other side of that coin is things generally don't get cheaper as you get further down the line either. So, you know, 2022.
we're kind of caught in the loop with Motorola.
Well,
Because they have the reins and they're the ones dictating, because they're the ones that won't even fix the radios we have now. They end of life them. So if I have one break today, I have to buy a new radio. Because they won't fix the ones we have. So we're kind of just going by a shoestring at this point.
And did you have a discussion or a question about that $6,000 and that?
Well, Candy and I had a discussion. I kind of wish it would go back into my budget because that's where it came from, but she says that can't happen, so. And I understand it. Well, that's the rules, that's the rules. I mean, but you kind of understand my side. I mean, you know, it was a rebate specifically for those. And I am concerned about my budget this year, because of the price of things are changing. Just so you're aware. And I completely understand, so we'll get it done.
Anything else, Steve?
No, that was it, thank you.
Thank you. Unfinished business, COVID-19 discussion. Anything anybody wants to bring up on that? Our vaccination rates are ahead of most areas within the state, according to Lake Region District Health. 18 to 64-year-olds, we are at 32.9% of the population based on a statewide average of 20.4. Our 65 to 74, we're at 72.7% versus a statewide average of 67%. And then 75 and older, we're at 76.8%. And I think that's just the 1 dose, not the 2 dose count. And it's 76.8% of our residents versus the statewide average is 70.4%. The numbers have been trickling up lately within the past week or so. I think we're at 14 actives today, which isn't bad. Certainly better than what we, a little worse than what we were a year ago. A year ago we didn't have any and we shut everything down. So, made a lot of progress in the past year. It's been a very difficult one. But, yeah.
I'll just mention kudos to Lake Region District Health. I mean, I went in and got my first dose last Thursday and it was really efficient. I mean, bang, 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 and it was really well run and everyone was.
70 or 80 doses of the single shot.
Yeah, they had Johnson & Johnson last week as well. They had the single dose ones as well, so it was, yeah, it was really well organized and structured and run, and the National Guard was helping out. I mean, it was walk in, fill out the form, and get the shot and away, and then you have to sit there for 15 minutes, make sure you didn't have a reaction. But it was quick and easy, and nothing but compliments to them on that.
Yeah, it's very well run and doing both days. Wednesday, they've been doing those eligible for their second doses. And Thursdays for those that are requiring or needing their first dose. And so far it's been going very well. They're getting vaccination in arms, so that's what it takes, I guess, and building up towards that herd immunity. Businesses are open, schools are in session. Like we mentioned before, an update from Superintendent Hockey last meeting. The big events planned as moving forward, you know, with the military ball, the prom, and in-person graduation. So hats off to the Devils Lake Public Schools, Lake Region State College and all our healthcare professionals that are putting in the overtime to get those shots in arms. So, besides Lake Region District Health, I think there's a few pharmacies within the county that are administering shots, as well as the clinic and the hospital. So, and National Guard's been helping at our vaccination clinics up here. So I think it's been running very, very good. Over 6,600 of our residents have been, received their first vaccination. So, and I think as we discussed at our last meeting, I think we can move forward with that first meeting of April upstairs, getting back to normal and in our own meeting facilities. I think Candy and Steve are working on enhancing some audio-visual equipment up there. Looking at possibly mounting a television screen for the agenda and meeting materials, and then putting the existing television on the back wall for those that are facing that way, so it's not, the screen isn't behind you. So I think we're making some enhancements, and through this whole pandemic, we've made steps on learning things. So things have been going good. Anything else on COVID-19 discussion? If not, moving on to senior citizen payment distribution. And this was part of that foot clinic that Towner County is no longer doing. Is that the...
Right, and they still haven't provided me with,
where that's going to go, or who's going to
with
take
any refund back or minutes or anything. She said they've been like super busy with vaccines up there, so.
What was the amount of dollars on that?
For
That Towner County distribution?
For 2020, well, for 2020, it was $22,250. But I don't know how much of that they have that remaining. That's what I'm waiting to
Sure.
get back.
How much Dollar County has of that money?
They have remaining funds that, because they're dissolving, so that it has to be dispersed back.
Just like to add, Chairman, I talked to Kim down there at the Senior Center yesterday, and I talked to Kathy today, the director, and she's been kind of out sick for the last few days, so. But she said the foot clinic hasn't operated since the first year, and they get called every day. People want to use it, appointments. It's really needed. And she's totally understanding that the people from Towner County, they were from Towner County, were coming down and doing the foot clinic in the senior center. Now they're out of the picture, they're not going to do it anymore. She had people lined up within Devil's Lake or in Ramsey County that will do it. And I kind of said, what's the hang up? She said, the startup money. And she kind of used around $5,000 to $6,000 for to get the thing started. And then it will be kind of self-funded. Insurance covers a lot of it. So they can get it going. But they have a huge demand for it. Every day they got people calling and wanting to come in. So I kind of visited with her and I said, what, 10,000 get this foot clinic back on its feet and get it going? She said yes. And she, like I said, it would kind of self-fund itself. We might have to put some tax dollars in down the road, but I mean, it's something very much needed.
Well, the question I would have for Candy then is, when we structured our budget last year, we had the $22,000 included to go to Towner County, correct?
For 2020, yes.
for this year, for 2021?
No, 2021, they reduced it down to 13,480.
Okay, but we basically budgeted 13,480 to go to Towner County, and it's no longer gonna go to Towner County, plus we're probably gonna get some of the money back from Towner County out of that 22,000 then. So we could easily just shift the money that we were going to put to Towner County and roll it to our senior center to allow them to do a start, to get the program started down here then.
And then review it.
Yeah.
After that, to see what
I
kind
mean-
of money we would be putting towards it.
Yeah.
Because we already set that money aside.
Yeah, it seems like a reason, I mean, we set 13,000 change aside for a foot clinic, so if it's gonna take, and if they need to come back, if that 13,000 isn't enough, then we can find another
Address it,
little
yeah.
bit to get it going, yeah. Seems to me like that's a reasonable way to approach it.
That sounds like a good way to do it, Alan, I think that'd be fine. Another need they had was food. I mean, they haven't had their dining room open in a year, they've had no fundraisers, they're out between 50 and 20,000 on their normal fundraising that they can do. So the food costs have really added up to them, and they've been serving just as more meals now in the last year through the COVID than what they normally did. And the figure they used to me was $10,000 is kind of what they're short, and what, the food has overcost them. So there is something we could probably use the CARES money for, something. And they would be very happy. Two other things she brought up, but she didn't want to address them now. The dishwasher kaput and refrigerator, the two-door refrigerator, they've been there since the building was built. So she didn't give me no cost on those. I said, well, we'll address that at a later date.
Yeah, and
Thought everybody would be all right with that.
for reference, the building was built back in what, the 70s,
I think that's probably what it
late
was.
70s? So,
At that time, I probably wasn't paying much attention to the senior center. I think I remember that's probably when it started falling into place there or whatever, but she said, she'd be happy, really happy if they could get something for the food and then to get that foot clinic. That sounds reasonable.
we have a list of, correct, the one that was presented at the last meeting then is basically good still for the other senior centers then, correct? Well, I'll make a motion then to distribute the funds to the senior centers in accordance with the list that was presented. Allow the 13,000 and change to go to the senior center here in Devils Lake to start a foot care clinic. And then also take 10,000 additional dollars out of the CARES Act dollars that we received and as a one-time payment to the senior center to make up for lost revenue from fundraising and meals last year.
Second.
We'll see what, we'll see when that money comes back from Canada, we can, from Towner County, we'll see what there is there, and if there's X amount, we can roll that over to the foot care clinic as well. We'll see what we get.
The other senior entities okay with that? The Edmore, the Hamdens, or the,
I would think so, and
okay.
I think there's people from them outlying areas that are using the foot clinic. I would guess they are, so.
Well, if it was here before.
Yeah, evidently they were using it.
Well, I think the baseline budgeting in terms of the dollars for the Edmores and a place like that are basically to keep the lights on, so that way we can use those buildings to use them for things like foot care clinics and immunization work and things like that public health does and things of that nature. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if it takes a little bit more money for them at some point too, I don't have a problem finding a couple dollars when that's the cash.
And as we move forward, I guess I would like to see, some sort of spreadsheet of the dollars of CARES Act dollars, what we've received and what we've been spending, so we can kind of keep track of that, and so we don't.
Well, that way it would be
This is
easier.
only your second purchase.
Right.
But that, it would be easier to try to budget for future.
Well,
so we're not overextending ourselves.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I understand where you're coming from. I agree that it's good to keep a thorough accounting of it, but I mean, we got what, 600 and something back?
Yeah,
And we've spent, if we pass this motion, 10,000 plus
yeah.
the siren.
Yeah,
Which is
we
great.
we wrote the check for that already, so that was like 62,000, and then this 10,000, so that's 72, roughly
On-
73.
On top of the fact that off of this last stimulus package that was passed, it's looking like we're gonna get 2.23 million for Ramsey County.
2.23439.
So, and the question is at this point, at least in terms of, I've asked some questions of a few people, is what can it be and can't be spent on, things of that nature, and I think some of those things are gonna get straightened out in the next while, but it's not like we're gonna, I don't think we're gonna go crazy and overspend ourselves, but I still think it is good to know where it's going and where it's coming from, so we can keep track of it.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's all I'd like.
No, that's reasonable.
Yeah. Any further discussion on the motion in front of us? Roll call, please. Yeah.
Okay, Volk,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Lightfon,
Aye.
Britt.
Aye. Motion approved. Any further unfinished business?
Thank you on that item.
That's a big need, that foot clinic.
They'll be extremely happy down there.
New business, approved site authorization.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the site authorization. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And just an FYI for those of us, those online that will be watching later, that is a site authorization for Devils Lake Town and Country Club for Community College Foundation raffle and gaming. For a quick little, I think it's a golf team.
Yes.
Homestead credit, we have a couple of them.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the homestead credits in board members' packets. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approved letter of transfer, and that's the, in the back, approving the amount that Candy had just indicated for the cost on the siren project at the law enforcement center.
Do you want to just include the payment to the senior center as well?
We could add that.
To move it from the CARES Act
$10,000
to the, yeah. I'll make a motion to approve both transfers.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve not only the 62,554.84 for the siren project, but the 10,000 just approved for the senior meals or senior center. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Reappointment to North Central Housing Authority.
Mr. Chairman, I move to nominate Adam Lifon to serve as the North Central Housing Authority representative for Ramsey County.
Second.
And it's I'm the only term up this year, 3-year term.
3-year term. Thank you for your service. Motion and a second to reappoint Mr. Commissioner Lightfon to the North Central Housing Authority. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Visitors and delegations. We do have our state's attorney with us. Welcome. Hello. Mr. Cummings, if you have anything for us?
Just a footnote, week 2, it's going well so far, and court is planning to open back up soon and have defendants coming in person, so we'll monitor that and let you know. Looking forward to it. So
glad to see that we haven't scared you off yet.
You made it to week 2, you're doing pretty well.
It'll take a little more than that, I think, so.
We're good. Anybody have anything for Mr. Cummings? If not, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Any other announcements?
I'll just, is it okay if I make one announcement? I think it was on everybody's desk, being on the former Devils Lake representative, I'll just make mention of it. We decided as a board to forego doing an annual meeting where you'd have a bunch of people in one spot. So instead, they're doing tours of the Kojak Snack Attack facility out there. There's, I believe, 2 groups of 8, and they're gonna do 5 different time slots, I believe. So there's plenty of slots, but they are kind of filling up quick, I think. So if you're interested, just text, or excuse me, email Brad, give him a call, leave a message, and he'll get you put it on a time slot. And those are on March 31st, from noon to 4. It's about a 45-minute walk through the facilities. It's one of the big projects that's been accomplished last couple of years. Something we'll look at.
It was very interesting last year, and that was before it was up in production.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any announcements? Fighting Hawks going for their first NCHC championship tonight in men's hockey. Go Hawks, and beat the Bison on
It's a big football game on Saturday.
big football game Saturday. Should be an interesting game. Legislatively, there's a lot of stuff going on at the legislature concerning counties. Terry Truman and his crew do a wonderful job representing us. And the big one that I talked with Kevin about previously, and maybe mentioned here, would be the Culvert Bill. Senate Bill 2324. A bill for an act to amend, reenact section 240308 of the North Dakota Century Code relating to the installation of culverts. One of the big changes was if the department, the Board of County Commissioners, the Board of Township Supervisors, as the case may be, fails to install a culvert or bridge of sufficient capacity for the design discharge determined by state engineer within 1 year after receiving the state engineer's determination, and does not have good cause for failing to do so, a court may award reasonable court costs and attorney fees to a person incurred the expense in action to enforce this section. And then it goes on to describe the stream crossing standards prepared by the Department of the State Engineer and any recommendations from state engineer for a specific size or design for the culvert or bridge. And that's part of the issues that we have problems with from a county standpoint, is one, making it enforceable within a year, which sometimes gets extremely difficult, planning and preparing for such things, and the fact that the state engineer, Office of State Engineer does not recommend a specific design or of a bridge or culvert. They'll give you the flowages of various events, but they don't tell you put this box culvert in, or you need a 30-foot expansion bridge or something like that. So a few issues to, but that one had a lot of input last week when they heard testimony on last Thursday. And today they received a revenue forecast update from Moody's and others. Office of O&B watched it, didn't fully understand it. We'll have to rewatch it again. A lot of numbers, and they talked about the oil in the Bakken and the egg revenue. Egg revenue looks like it may increase. They're projecting over the next 4 years. And oil production will it looks like it's gonna be around that $48 to $50 range, which will be good for revenue forecasting, but whether or not the Dakota Access Pipeline gets shut down or other complications to production, or how Saudi Arabia or other OPEC nations flood the market will certainly affect that. But that was the one that they've been kind of waiting on, and before they make all their spending bills go through. But like I said, and it was a couple hours today. We'll have to watch it and rewatch it, fully understand it, and hopefully we get an update from Mr. Trainer and the Screw-Down Association of Counties to fully digest it and dissect it for us. But thank you for your time. Anything else for the good of the order? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.